see this this beautiful, beautiful helmet here, William? This is going to go to one of our Super Den members. All right. I don't know when we're going to give it away. I don't know what time. I don't know the place, but signed Aiden Hutchinson helmet, certificate on the back. Think about becoming a member, not required, greatly appreciated. We like to do some raffles, some giveaways. That's going to be coming up here soon. We got some jerseys. We got some gift cards for our other tiered members. Think about it. Greatly appreciated. Will, it's been a couple days. What's been going on in the life of Will?
Let me start with the life of Will has been a catastrophe. Catastrophe. Me and my boy, we're just trying to get together and put out some Detroit Lions content yesterday. Full disclosure, I'm not going to put you guys on blast because if it would have been a day like today where there was a little bit of rainy weather, some storms and stuff, I'd be completely understanding. But yesterday was just a beautiful day outside, and we came down to the basement, and we had a juicy episode brewing. And next thing you know, 10 minutes in, internet just decides just like not too happy with my internet provider. So that was 100% on me for us not getting anything out yesterday. But there is a bright side. Today we're going to get into it. Today we're going to talk about some business. Today we're going to get into something that I think is juicy, Steve. Steve, you know what we're talking about. And before we drop it on them, do you think it's juicy, or do you think people are just going to be like, just understanding where we're coming from?
I think we're going to split the fan base today. I think it's going to be 50-50. I don't intend for it to be juicy or anything crazy, but I know what we're going to be talking. I got a good idea what my opinion is. I got a good idea what your opinion is, but I mean, it's just kind of an open table, a round table. You know, we're just going to sit back and talk about it. Will, so fire off the question. What's the topic today?
So listen, a couple of days ago, we did an episode. We did an episode on TJ Watt, and I got a couple things I want to say about that. Listen, I think there's a few new viewers to our channel because a lot of people came at us with the comments of, why are we talking about this guy? With the comments of clickbait, with the comments of this ain't never going to happen, yada, 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 those things. Again, as I said yesterday, I'll say it again today. For those people who are new, I would challenge you to go back into our history, go back through the thumbnails, go back through the titles, and see how many times you see the likes of people like Trey Hendrickson, TJ Watt, Max Crosby. The list goes on. Any of these big name defensive ends that could be playing opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. Myles Garrett is another one. See how many times we do shows about them. See how many times we talk about them, because it is very, very few. And when you look at some of these other Detroit Lions channels, you see them probably talking about somebody like that weekly. We're not after clickbait. We're after talking about the team that we love. So all of that said, we are talking about Brad Holmes, because it seems like whenever one of those big names get brought up, Steve, it's followed by people knowing exactly who he is, exactly what moves he will make and what he won't. So, Steve, to you, who do you think Brad Holmes is? What do you think is possible?
I think Brad Holmes is one of the best GMs in football, Will, without a question. I know he doesn't have a Super Bowl underneath his belt, but I do know that he's rejuvenated the Detroit Lions into a category that we have never seen before. But are we content with just making the playoffs and just being a really, really good football team, or do we got to get over that hump? I think that's going to be kind of the measuring stick for Brad Holmes. So I personally, I don't love all the moves he's made, but I understand I'm not the GM of the Detroit Lions, but I'll tell you, I think I like about 99% of them, 90 to 99%. I'm on board, but I don't think he's done anything dumb. I don't think he's done anything risky or I think everything that he's done has been extremely calculated. I think that's probably the best word how to use, is maybe a little conservative, but extremely, extremely calculative. He is not going to go out and jeopardize the longevity of the Detroit Lions. I think the biggest move he's made is, I know I don't want to steal your thunder, because I know what you're going to say, but I'll let you tee it up and then I'll give my 2 cents. But I think just conservative with very, very, very smart moves that make a lot of sense. And a lot of people might not like that, but I think that's what I categorize him as. I mean, I think he's hit home runs in the draft more times than not. But I mean, I think free agency is probably where people are a little lackluster, where he hasn't made that splashy move. So I don't know. Well, that's kind of my 2 cents. How do you feel?
Steve, The first thing that I want to say is most of the time I'm saying this to you. And today I'm going to say it to all of the people that are saying that Mr. Brad Holmes will never make a splashy move. I'm saying, let me take a good look at it. Let me take a good look. Are you nuts? Are you out of your mind, people? Are you out of your mind? Brad Holmes had this job for less than it takes to drink a cup of coffee, and he traded 2 first rounders. Let's start there. The dude didn't even get a chance to sit down in his chair yet, and he was trading 2 first downers and kicking Matt Stafford out of town. What are
You
we
mean trading for 2 first rounders?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, I apologize. Thank you for correcting me. In the first round, kicking Matt Stafford out of town. Just the best quarterback probably the Detroit Lions have ever had. Just a dude who throws 4,000 plus yards. Just a dude who went to another team and won a Super Bowl. The dude had the cojones, right? To roll in immediately, kick Matt Stafford out of town, and go get 2 first round picks, man. We've been through lots of drafts, Steve, lots of drafts, and there's no guarantee that you're going to get a Matt Stafford back by going to get 2 first round picks. Now, I say that knowing what happened. Obviously we didn't go get a quarterback, but people were like, what are we doing? And then we're getting this bridge quarterback back. I don't even know if there's a guy in the next 2 drafts that could even be holding Matt Stafford's jockstrap. People were in an uproar. This dude is aggressive, and he knows what he likes and what he wants. He knew he liked Jared Goff. He knew he wanted Jared Goff. That's something that he just came out and said in a recent press conference. Man, he was talking about how much uh, he had, how much love he had for Jared Goff, how much belief in Jared Goff he had. So the bottom line to me is, who is Brad Holmes? Brad Holmes is a guy who has certain philosophies and principles he stands on and believes in. He doesn't give a darn what 2 guys in their basement are talking about, the Detroit Lions fan base is talking about. He's gonna do it the way that he believes that is the right way. What we've seen so far, Steve, is him be aggressive, in my opinion. People are calling him dollar menu Brad. People are calling him conservative. I don't see that, Steve, because when I see Brad Holmes and the dust starts to settle from the things that he's done, the first thing that comes to mind that was a big splashy move to me, and I know it wasn't a trade, but CJ Gardner-Johnson. CJ Gardner, I know it didn't work out the way that we wanted to, but that was a big deal. And how did he secure that deal? By calling his agent every single day. Even when it looked like there was no possible way. CJ Gardner-Johnson is the most expensive safety out there. We don't have a lot of money. We're trying to figure some things out with our team. We already got safeties. It just didn't look like it was going to be the move that we needed. And then we secured him for a fair price at a 1-year deal because of the relationships with Aaron Glenn and the culture in Detroit. Why couldn't it happen again? I don't get why people are so against the potential or possibility it could happen again. And here's what I mean by happen again. Every single time, I don't want to say every single time, that's a little bit too much. Let me not go too far. But a lot of the times when these big marquee names end up re-signing with their team or signing with somebody else, we find out that Brad made the call, Steve. Is that something that you would agree with?
Well, can I back up to the Matthew Stafford stuff?
Yeah.
I feel like I can't give Brad full credit for that trade because Matthew Stafford asked for a trade out of Detroit. So, I mean, yeah, Brad got a great deal, a great return for him. I'm not going to say that he didn't, but I feel like when the team was in the position that it was in with firing the head coach and firing the GM, like everyone kind of knew like a rebuild's here. When you have a veteran quarterback like Stafford, like there's going to be a conversation like, hey, do you want to be a part of a rebuild or do you want to be traded? And I know Matthew Stafford initiated that conversation and Brad got a haul. Like we ended up with JMO. Long story short, I think we ended up with Aiden Hutchinson in that because I think we win a couple more games than that 3-13 in one season with Stafford. So I think we kind of benefited from being so bad that first year and getting Hutch. So I can't give Brad full credit for that trade. Was it a great return? Yes, but I think everyone in the football world knew that was coming. The CJ Gardner-Johnson thing, At the time, I loved the signing, but now looking at it, and I know I have hindsight on my side, so it's 2020, and I have the full vision of how it worked out. I don't think we needed CJ Gardner-Johnson, and we kind of proved that because we won a lot of football games, and he didn't play in many of them. He got hurt, and the games he did play in, I think he kind of got clowned, mainly in that NFC Championship game by Deebo Samuel. CJ couldn't tackle anyone. So, I mean, great piece. Yeah, he was expensive. He was the best safety available and all that, but I wouldn't say that that really worked out for the Detroit Lions. Would you? Is that a fair assessment?
Are you nuts?
He missed 14 games. Will he missed 14 games in one season we had him? So I mean, I'm not saying that CJ Gardner Johnson is a terrible player, but we made it to the NFC Championship game essentially without him.
Are you nuts?
It's not opinion. That's just facts. Like we lost him for 14 or so games.
I understand that aspect of it, and you can't predict players getting injured. So to me, that's inconsequential because he got injured. That doesn't tell me what type of player he is. When I think about the securing of CJ Gardner-Johnson, it was a big deal because who was always injured? Ife Melifonwu. So Ife Melifonwu happened to play out of his mind that year. That's why when CJ Gardner-Johnson got injured, it didn't matter because Ife was playing like a dog. If Ife wasn't on the field and he was in the tub like he typically was, then that would have been a much bigger issue than it ended up being. So I think that part of that plays into CJ Gardner-Johnson being less of a deal than it could have been if he wasn't playing like an absolute beast. So I think that kind of plays a little bit into it, but I still think the actual signing of the best safety available through being relentless in the pursuit is still a big deal to me. Now, and plus you don't know what you're going to get out of Brian Branch. When they went and got Brian Branch, how do you know that Brian Branch is going to be the best safety or one of the best safeties in the NFL? You know what I mean? So they still didn't know what he was. He's playing nickel. It was still like this little cat and mouse game. So at the time, I think the CJ Gardner-Johnson signing was a huge deal. And I think that the ruffle of the feathers probably is a lot less when he comes back if Ife Melifonwu and Brian Branch aren't playing so well. So if Brian Branch ended up being just a nickel and Ife Melifonwu wasn't available, so CJ Gardner-Johnson comes back into a starting role, then I think nobody's feathers are ruffled. CJ Gardner-Johnson is out there and he's happy, and maybe he's still here and things are a little bit different. I'm not saying that that's what I wish would have happened. I like where we're sitting from a secondary standpoint, but I don't think he gets upset. Why was he pissed off? Because they sat him down and they said, hey, listen, man, we can't just throw you back out here. This Ife Melifonwu was playing like a beast, and this Brian Branch dude, he's probably who's going to be playing there next year. So I don't know, man. 1 year deal. You're open or you're welcome to go pursue other opportunities for your career after the season, but we just don't see it here paying you big money or signing you to a big contract. So off back to Philly he went, man. So to me, I'm just speaking to the aggressiveness of Brad Holmes through the relentless pursuit of somebody like CJ Gardner-Johnson, through being linked to calling Cleveland to pursue Myles Garrett, through making the call about Max Crosby where the talks weren't as heavy, where they were saying that he was actually talking numbers and things with the Cleveland Browns, and then the intense pursuit of Jalen Ramsey that also came out. They said that he's been pursuing Ramsey, and he liked Ramsey when he was out there, when he went to the Rams, and then same thing for when he comes. He loves Ramsey as a player, so he's making the call. So just because the deals aren't coming to fruition doesn't mean he isn't aggressively pursuing the deals. Like there's been some draft day deals that he's tried to make that haven't ended up working out. But that doesn't mean he's not trying to trade up. It doesn't mean he's not trying to trade back. Doesn't mean he's not trying to shift things around. So it only takes one time for the stars to align. And by stars align, I mean this. For a guy like TJ Watt to say, hey, listen, I seen Aaron Rodgers out there with the New York Jets. I don't think that he's going to be able to bring a Super Bowl to Pittsburgh. I want to win a Super Bowl, right? I want to chase the Lombardi. I'm not out here. I don't want to be a part of a rebuild. I don't want my career to basically go through its last true prime hurrah on a team that's not chasing Lombardi. So maybe I go to a contender. Maybe I take a couple million less. Maybe Aiden Hutchinson signs an extension to a couple million less. Maybe similar to guys like Tom Brady, maybe Jared Goff is smart enough to say, hey, listen, I want my legacy to be winning Super Bowls, a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Maybe instead of taking 42 million, maybe I take 38 million, 37. What's the difference? What are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? Maybe he says we can use that extra million. Maybe some of these other players, cut off 100,000, $500,000 here and there, and we start to do what needs to be done to go get that first Detroit Lions Super Bowl. Because I guarantee you this, Steve, whoever those players are, that quarterback of that team, that star player of that team, the players that were on the first Super Bowl championship Detroit Lions team, those players are going to be remembered forever. I don't care if we go on to win 10. When I look at the New England Patriots, man, I don't remember every single Super Bowl that the New England Patriots won. I don't have them broke up into each individual year. But as a Detroit Lions fan, I've been wanting to win a Super Bowl my whole life. Like ever since I've been on Earth. I didn't even know what football was. I came out of my mom's room and I was like, Barty.
Son, I was present. That's not what you said.
But it's you want it real bad. Whoever the people are that win that first Super Bowl, Steve, it's going to be special, man. And I think the culture of Detroit is something that the veterans want to be a part of around the league. Now they're pursuing Detroit instead of Detroit just having to pursue them. So I think for those reasons, Brad will eventually have the stars to align and there will be a deal done. One of these guys will take a couple million less to chase a Lombardi trophy. That's all I'm saying. So when people get in the comments and say it's impossible, why are you guys talking about it? You guys are idiots. I just disagree.
I got to back up to the CJ Gardner-Johnson stuff again. Well, I think Aaron Glenn had a bigger hand in that. I'm trying to just play devil's advocate today. I'm not just going to worship the ground that Brad Holmes walks on just because he's the Detroit Lions GM. I'm glad he makes the calls. I'm glad. But when I think of the CJ Gardner-Johnson thing, I think Aaron Glenn and CJ even came out and said, like, Aaron Glenn was a father figure to me in New Orleans. I think that played way more of a role. Brad Holmes just offered me the contract with the year and the money. Like, that's great. I'll take that 1 year deal. Yeah. I think it was kind of like, no, I'm not going to be in Detroit after 1 year kind of thing. But making the calls on all these big name trades, the Myles Garretts, the Crosbys, the TJ Watts, Trey Hendrickson, whoever else has been out there that's been linked to wanting a trade. If you're a GM in football, I would expect as soon as a player says anything about it, I assume that said team gets 30 other phone calls from every team in the NFL. Like, you shouldn't be an NFL GM if players like Myles Garrett come out and publicly say they want traded. If Max Crosby says he wants traded, the Las Vegas Raiders GM should have 30 missed calls right away, day one. Like, that should just be like the job. Like, just gauge in the water. Test, hey, man, what's it going to take? I would assume Brad Holmes does that, and there's been reports that he has. And I think where Brad Holmes is super aggressive, and I love it, is the NFL draft. We talk about, him moving up, moving back, getting his man, getting several players that slip, like the Brian Branches of the world, the Sam Laportas. And I even remember this past year's draft. I can't remember the team, but there was a report that came out that there was I think there was a deal in place this past year's draft with, I want to say the Chargers or something. Do you remember hearing anything about that?
I remember hearing something, but I can't remember who the team was.
And it makes me wonder, who did Brad really have his eyes on? Because if he wanted to move up, I think he had a player obviously higher graded than Tyreek Williams. What was the asking price? Was it too much? Because Brad Holmes is great. He's never going to make a bad deal. I don't think he's ever made a bad deal in his life. Like, we might have traded in the draft and gotten, the Broderick Martins and some players that haven't worked out yet, but that doesn't mean that it was a bad move. It just means he gambled and he didn't win. It happens. If you go to the casino, you're not going to win every hand of blackjack. You're not going to win every spin on the roulette wheel. You're not going to win every craps roll of the dice. It's the nature of the beast. The NFL is a gamble as well. Like, you're going to swing and you're going to miss. So I don't knock him too much, but he's aggressive in the draft. And like I said, I think he hits on like 90%. Like, we had a draft class a couple years ago, and we're starting to run into the problem where, how do we pay all these guys now? We've drafted so well for the last 3-4 seasons. Now it's big paychecks coming for JMO, Hutch. Kirby just got his. Laporta got his, or is going to get his. St. Brown got his. Sewell got his. Like, these are all guys that are drafted. And I don't know. I love what Brad Holmes is doing. I'm just trying to play a little devil's advocate tonight, Will.
Yeah, I just don't know what we disagree on, though, honestly. Like, I'm agreeing with everything that you're saying. Like I'm not disagreeing with you. I just wouldn't label Brad Holmes as a guy who's conservative or not willing to make a big move. So I guess that poses a question for me. Are you under the belief that Brad Holmes will never make a big splashy move? It's just not a part of who he is, and we'll never see him do it.
No, I don't believe that. I just think he hasn't done it yet. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Like, is it, like I said in the beginning, is just getting to the playoffs good enough? Or is he going to sit back and say, getting to the playoffs isn't good enough for me? I need a player to go out and be a difference maker. Is it TJ Watt? Is it Trey Hendrickson? Like, I don't know. Because to me, if I'm a GM, if I'm not raising a Lombardi trophy, at least every now and then, I'm failing. That's the nature of the beast. Like, it's cool, like, to win football games, and I love where we are as Lions fans. You know, I show up on Sundays, I have a good time. More often than not, I leave Ford Field on Sundays, Mondays, Saturdays, Thursdays with wins, but we're not getting the ultimate win. So I think once he gets to that point where he says, I have to get that big needle pusher, I think we could see an aggressive move. I just don't know when that's going to be, but I'm not going to say he's never going to make it. I think he will, but maybe he doesn't if the Lions start winning Super Bowls without that big move too. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like, hey, I don't need to go out and make a big move. I just won a Super Bowl. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to draft well. I'm going to sign some free agents that I need. I don't need to go out and trade for a Max Crosby or anything crazy. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. It's a winning recipe. But if that recipe's not working, then you got to change a little something on the menu.
Hey, like I said, you're not saying anything that I disagree with. I'm gonna be honest, man. Like I'm 1000% with you and in agreement with you. I feel like it's the people that I'm disagreeing with are the people that are saying that we're crazy. We're crazy for even talking about these things. That it's impossible. Number one, how do you know what's impossible? How do you know what's impossible? Somebody's gonna get these players if they're leaving the team that they're on. That's the first thing. Two, we talk about salary cap, and I don't think that people truly understand how the salary cap works. You need to go talk to Mr. Disner or Howie Roseman is really who you need to talk to, because that dude is doing salary cap magic. I don't know how he's cheating, but he's cheating, and it's going to come out 10, 20 years from now. I don't know what he's doing. He's doing something. But that's the bottom line, man. There's a way to do it. You can front load, you can back load. You can make these things work, man. You can give huge signing bonus to take some of the pressure off of the cap, man. There's a lot of different things you can play on, extending things out long because you know the cap is going to continue to probably elevate. There's a lot of different things that you can do with these contracts to make these situations work. And ultimately, when you're talking about even an Aiden Hutchinson extension, or everybody but Sam Laporta, for the most part, you're talking about guys who don't have to have their extension start immediately, right? So at the end of the day, even though we give Hutch's extension, we can still get him on a cheap deal next year, right? It's not going to start till the year after that, even though he has it, the big money. Then we can stagger crazy money one season and a little bit lower money the next season. There's a bunch of different ways that you can do these things. We just have to be creative. So I just want people to pump the brakes on the word impossible. I want the people to pump the brakes on the, hey, don't even talk about it. You guys are idiots, because I'm just completely against that. I don't believe in taking my time to talk about things that I believe are impossible, man.
Let me ask you a question. Oh, sorry. I thought you
Yeah,
were
talk to me. No, you're good.
done. How long do you think Brad Holmes needs to wait to make that big move?
Honestly, I think Brad Holmes is a businessman that happens to be a GM of a football team. Right. But I think ultimately he's a businessman. He's about business. He's a capitalist. He's looking for an opportunity all the time. He's looking for, how can I make a come up? Right. How can I get a player that is of a just phenomenal quality and get him for a cheap deal? Oh, I can go get injured players. We see a lot of that. I'll get you when you're banged up and nobody believes in you, and I'll come grab you. I'll embrace the suck for the first season where I might not have you until later on in the season, and then I'll reap the reward the next season, JMO, right? Because I'll get you banged up. So be it. Sometimes you lose, Emmanuel Mosley, right? Sometimes you lose on deals like that, right? Um, Marcus Davenport last year. There's a risk and reward to that, but he is a dude that is looking for the come up. He's looking for the thing that's going to make him hit the jackpot. He's not looking to just say, hey, listen, I'm going to draft well. I'm going to sign free agents that don't have an injury history. No, that's not what he's looking to do. So if and when a deal makes sense for whatever reason, if it's because we have players coming off of the books, if it's because a guy is willing to make some concessions, if it's because the team has gotten together and said, as a group, we're going to find the money to bring this guy in because we believe that this is a guy who can help us get to this Lombardi trophy, the deal's going to happen. Right? That's when it's going to be. So I don't know if that's going to be this season, next season, the season after that, but it's a reason why he's making these phone calls. And to me, I don't think it's just to see what the price is and do the due diligence. I think these are actually deals that he wants to make. I think he actually wanted to make the Myles Garrett move if there was a possible way where it made financial sense. I definitely know that he wanted to make the Jalen Ramsey deal if he can make it make financial sense. But what he's not going to do is put us in a financial strain and reach to go get a player. It's going to have to be good, financially responsible business sense for the Detroit Lions in the long term. He's not going to do the no risk it, no biscuit, risk it to try to get a 2-season window where we got all of these dogs and then the contracts are impossible to pay and we got to blow this thing up and start from scratch. He's not going to do that. That I can agree with, but there is going to be a time where everything comes into balance and we get a big name. It's just what I believe.
Here's what I definitely don't want to happen. I don't want to be the San Francisco 49ers. I don't. A team that gets to the playoffs regularly, gets to the Super Bowl a couple times, and then comes up short. But I also don't want to be a team that goes for broke, wins one Super Bowl, and then is bad for 6 years and has to go for a rebuild. So I need middle ground somewhere because I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what those waters feel like. I've never been in them, so I have no idea. But I need something in between the San Francisco 49ers and one Super Bowl and then a rebuild, kind of like the Rams, but kind of getting a little lucky with the Stafford thing, winning a Super Bowl, sucking for a little bit, even with Stafford. So I don't know. Well, I need to be something in between there. And to answer my own question of when does Brad Holmes need to make a big move, I think after this year, if you don't win a Super Bowl, and I'm not saying that we're not, I'm just painting a picture because I think that this is a Super Bowl caliber roster, but there's a lot of other teams that are really good in the NFL. So if it doesn't happen this year, I think we've got to have a talk because we'll be 2 years away from being one half of football, from going to a Super Bowl to play a Kansas City Chiefs team that we had beaten previously in the year, which really stings. So you're 2 years removed from that. Everyone's a little older. Goff's contract's a year closer to being over. Like, I think you got to win one with Goff because you signed him to a crazy, massive deal. So I think not to validate Brad's move, but I think it would just look better for him if we win a Super Bowl with Jared Goff. Because I definitely don't want to start playing quarterback roulette with a lot of teams who swing and miss on quarterbacks like the Cleveland Browns, who I think they've had 85 starting quarterbacks in the last 19 years. Like, I don't want to be in that boat either. I don't know what the future is with Jared Goff, but there is a window. I don't know when Brad Holmes needs to make a move, but after this season, if we're not raising a Lombardi, I think we need to have a conversation on what type of big move needs to happen.
Yeah, I get it, man. I understand where you're coming from. I just want it to happen when the stars align and it's perfect, man. Whenever that is, but either way, I like what Bill Belichick and his dry humor and just dry personality said about the Super Bowl. You just need to make the dance first. After you make the dance, anything can happen, right?
Well, if you're Bill Belichick and you're winning 7 of them, that's easy to say. Just get in, and I got Tom Brady. It's easy. It's easy to say that when you got a handful of rings.
You can only win the Super Bowl if you make the dance. And if you continue to be a team that makes the dance, you can get high. Eventually, at some point, the Jared Goff that we see going 18 for 18, that guy is going to go on a Super Bowl run eventually. I believe that. So I don't think that if we continue to be a team that consistently makes the dance over his contract, I don't think that we're going to continually see a guy that played against the Washington Commanders.
I was going to say, Will, you better bring that up because he was playing good football up until the Commanders game. So, I mean, he got to the dance and then shit the bed.
Yeah, that's who he is, man. He's a guy that gets hot and cold. He just needs to get hot for a playoff run. Hey, the Jared Goff that lost in the NFC Championship game, that Jared Goff was a problem. Yeah. I'll take that Jared Goff all game all the time because that Jared Goff didn't lose us the NFC Championship game. So if we get that Jared Goff from the season before, I'm fine with that guy. If that guy takes us to a playoff run, if we got a top 5 defense, we win the Super Bowl.
That's a bad place in that NFC Championship game. If you want to just keep, taking me down dark roads. I mean, you want to talk about my dog that died when I was 8 years old and just bring up some more bad memories in my life too. Like, geez, a Jahmyr Gibbs first career lost fumble. I know he'd fumbled before, but that was his first career lost fumble. There's a difference. Some questionable coaching decisions, some bad drops by Josh Reynolds. Like, yeah, that game wasn't on Jared Goff. If that's the Jared Goff we have in the playoffs, that's why I've been saying we need to make this defense elite, because Jared Goff doesn't have to be Josh Allen or anything. He doesn't have to be Superman. Just be a game manager, for lack of a better term. And I know you and I both hate that, but I don't know what else to call them. So we'll just throw that out there. If our defense is elite, maybe we get a couple more stops against San Francisco. Maybe we get a couple more stops against Washington. You know, it's just the defense is the key to this season. Health is the key to this season. If those two things align and Jared Goff is just playing above average football, I don't even need him to be a superstar. Well, and you know, if those three stars align, I think we're solid. But I mean, we just got to get them all to line up at the same time.
Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl.
Well, yeah, with the best defense in the last 25 years.
That's what I'm saying.
I was 11. I could have went out and won a Super Bowl that year, Will. All I have to do is not turn the ball over and hopefully get 6 points. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Like, if you put a top 5 defense out there, it's going to be great. Hey,
yeah, but
Nick Foles,
in 1999, you could legally kill someone playing defense like Ray Lewis used to do. Like, you could actually fuck people up. Today's NFL is a lot softer than what it was back 20, 25, 26 years ago.
Nick Foles, same thing. Won a Super Bowl.
Nick Foles played out of his mind for a playoff run, though. He did play pretty good.
That's all I need Jared Goff to do. Get hot.
Peyton Manning played like shit for his Super Bowl against the Broncos. What did they have? An elite defense.
Great defense. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So keep building this defense up, man. Hopefully, the young guys that we brought in, man. I'm looking for big things from Al-Quadin Muhammad. I'm looking for things from Hassanin, man, along with the guys, the veterans that we have. Talik Williams is another one, looking for big things out of him. If these guys end up panning out, Steve, I'm telling you, those things, and the one last thing that we need for the Detroit Lions to go absolutely bananas defensively is Jack Campbell to take a step forward. I don't need Jack Campbell to be Luke Kuechly. I just need him to be his cousin. That's all I need. That's all I need.
Just don't be Jared Davis is pretty much what you're saying, right?
Yeah, no, Jared Davis. Gerard Davis is wow.
Key 1, stay healthy. Key 2, play good defense. Key 3, let Jared Goff get hot at the end of the season. I think those are the 3 keys to the Detroit Lions winning the Super Bowl. Yeah. Anything else tonight?
That's it, man. Let us know how you feel in the comments, man. Do you think that Brad Holmes is a guy, man, eventually, if the stars align, he'll make a big move? Or is this just a $1 million GM that's just trying to do this thing from a conservative standpoint, and he's only making things happen through the draft? Let us know how you feel about Brad.
Stick around, hit that like button. We'll be back later with another show.